Hello, Helena. I'm Emily McVeigh, Executive Director of the United Way of the Lewis and Clark area, and I'm here today for the United Way Partner Spotlight with Misty Brewer, who is our local Housing Navigator with Good Samaritan Ministries. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me. Yes, I am the Housing Navigator over at Good Samaritans. I've been working with Housing Navigation now since June of this year.
So pretty new to the position.
Very new.
All right, just learning the ropes.
Yes.
And of course, we're just on the downside of COVID, so everything in the world is still a little up in the air.
It is, and still turning in circles, so yes, we're there.
Yeah, good time to come on in and learn the ropes.
Fantastic, actually.
Yeah, so you've been here since June. How long has the Housing Navigator position been in place at Good Samaritan?
So it all started in 2020, and it's took off since the COVID. And since then, we're still trying to learn the ropes here, but we're able to assist a lot of people, multiple families, different living situations with this.
Right. So tell me about what do you have to do to qualify for the Housing Navigation program? What kind of families do you serve, or individuals?
I specifically work with the workforce, anybody in the workforce. However, we do service other individuals as well. But for Housing Navigation, you must be working. And typically, people that come see me are homeless, that are needing home housing, permanent situation.
Does working include getting disability payments, or do they have to have an employment?
Unfortunately, it has to be employment.
Sure. So this is not the people without income, but what's the average median income? Is there a requirement there?
So there's not a requirement, as long as they're working. I mean, even part-time hours, 18 hours a week is fine. They just have to be working to be able to get assistance through our program.
Okay. And do you only serve people in Helena, or is it a bit bigger than Helena area?
So we specifically work for Lewis and Clark area, which is Helena. However, there are other housing navigation programs out there in the community.
Okay, but you don't serve Jefferson or Broadwater's Lewis and Clark County coverage?
No, specifically Lewis and Clark. Yes.
Okay. And how do you partner with the other housing navigators? Do they do the same kinds of things that you do?
So I'm actually working with that right now, hand in hand. I'm getting ready to go to Missoula myself and go meet with them. Hopefully in the future we can all work with each other to delegate different individuals who are, maybe if they're not wanting to stay here, we can transfer them to Missoula. Who knows? That's what we're working on now. So
this is a program that exists in other parts of Montana, probably more the hub cities, not necessarily the smaller communities.
Most definitely, yeah. Yes.
Yep. What do you see as the barriers in Helena to getting housing? And that's probably a really long list.
It's a very long list. So most definitely it's going to be income. It's going to be, there's not enough low-income housing out there for anybody.
Or even affordable housing.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly. And right now we're seeing everybody having to have 3 times the amount of income. Unfortunately, when prices rise for rent, not necessarily does your minimum wage. So we're seeing a lot of people, individuals working that would be per se middle class nowadays. That's actually turning out to be more like lower class because of the income bracket. And what they require is 3 months of income. So you have to make 3 times the amount of income,
to qualify for rentals.
Yes.
And aren't they asking for 3 months up front? So 2 months rent and deposit.
So
it's a huge,
typically they want your deposit, your rent, and they want the last month's rent. So yes.
So just even getting into a place is a lot of money.
It really is. It really is. And it's not just individuals, it's families too that are having a hard time. I'm seeing a lot of individuals, like having lived in a place for 15 to 30 years, that are coming into my office that got evicted because they want to take and get them out of there. They want to revamp the place, and then they want to rent it and up the rent. So, and especially with nowadays, we have a lot of out-of-state individuals that are buying up a lot of our property. And when they do that, they're also upping the rent tremendously to where it's costing a lot more than what it would have a year ago for us to get people in there and be housed.
Yeah, traditionally, for as long as I can remember, we've talked about your rent should be about 30% of your income. And I think the last statistics I heard was Helenans are currently paying just over 50% on average to rent a place right now.
I do believe so. I think it's a little bit over 50% exactly. There, a lot of people are having to go to other resources as well, not just the Housing Navigation, but to be able to survive, to go get more assistance, even with food stamps or medical insurance, because they can't afford it anymore.
Yeah, it's been an interesting dilemma, and we've seen that really increase the number of homeless people in our community, families especially, just all of a sudden not able to afford housing.
I've seen over 100 people since June, and with those 100 people, I say individuals and families, and within that amount of people, I've probably been able to house maybe 30. And they're all, I mean, if it wasn't for our MIRA funding that we have through Montana State right now, I don't know where a lot of families would be other than in a tent somewhere.
Well, and part of the problem isn't just the amount of rent increase, but the fact that we don't have a lot of houses available to rent, period.
Exactly. I would love to have more housing come in here, affordable housing come in here, and somebody to maybe build more units or something for our community. And to get that funding is something that we're working on. It's a challenge, but we're trying to find other resources out there to be able to see what we can do for the community.
Yeah, and that's been a huge community conversation within our nonprofit circles, and
yes,
we're trying to bring in other players. But and people keep saying, well, they keep building. We see construction all over town, and part of the problem is it's not affordable for the population we're working with. Part of the problem is we have an increased population of over 13%, so people are filling those houses as quickly as they're built. Lots of layers to that. And prior to COVID, Helena had one of the lowest rental availability rates in the state, and that has only gotten worse. So,
way worse. Yes, I agree.
Just a continued problem and new dimensions now that we're experiencing the aftermath of the pandemic.
I agree, and it's really hard too. What I'm coming across is due to these individuals getting evicted for having to, because they want to remodel and up the rent, they also now face eviction on their record. So that's even another challenge in itself that we're trying to overcome. It's hard to find a place that not only you can make 3 times the amount of the income, but now you have an eviction, which is hard, and they're also wanting to do credit checks a lot now. So that also is something that haunts every individual when it comes to renting a place.
And I know that's come up in some of our other HCTV interviews with other parts of Good Samaritan Ministries programs, Family Promise, some of our housing tenancy specialists around town. Eviction prevention is a huge project that's underway right now, because if you have an eviction on your record, it makes it that much harder to get a new place. So keeping people housed is one of our key priorities.
Most definitely, and it doesn't matter when somebody sees an eviction, they don't see an eviction due to not paying a rent. They just see an eviction and think, okay, it's an eviction. They don't look at the details in that eviction, most definitely, of what it entails. So that's another thing we're coming across, is having to make sure we spend that extra time to individually speak to whatever landlord we are having them go try to apply for, and maybe even write a cover sheet letter as to why they're in the position they're in, to help sell themselves, I guess you could say, to the landlord, to hopefully have them give them a chance in renting their facility.
Great. What do you see as the future of housing navigation in the Lewis and Clark County area?
So I would love to see it expand. I would love to see it expand. I would love to see more affordable housing for individuals, so that way we can actually provide that support for our Lewis and Clark, Helena community and all of Montana. And I would love to get more funding, which we're working on grants and stuff, to see what we can do about getting the funding to be able to expand and getting that support through the state and the county and everywhere.
All right. So once you house a family or an individual, do you continue providing resources to them to make sure they stay housed or get the services they need?
So Good Samaritans is awesome when it comes to follow up with our community. Even if they get housed with me and I exit them out of my program, we still follow up with each individual. And as they come into our facility, we we navigate to who they would be seeing to get any kind of resources they need, whether it be mental health. We go peer review, ID, social security card, we'd send them over there to our place, or peer review. I also help individuals who are interested in not renting anymore to get into maybe first-time home buyers and Habitat for Humanity. We work hand in hand with Rocky Mountain Development Council, and they also help assist with that. We send people to budget classes. We just work really well with the community, and we're an open door to anybody that needs help.
You guys are actually one of the front door agencies for the community for the Continuum of Care. That's a whole different layer of housing conversation, but
Yes.
you know, Good Samaritan and Our Place under Good Samaritan is one of our best partners in that Housing First project as a front door. So when people go to you, they will get referred to whatever it is, the resources that they need.
Most definitely, whether it be clothing, housing, or any kind of financial needs, we try to, or health, we try to escort them the best that we can in any way we can.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a success story you can tell us about? With anytime you find housing, it's a success story.
It's a huge success story. So we actually we had that fire happen over there in the China, I can't remember what it's called, but we had a fire happen where we had multiple families in their tents catch fire and they were homeless. I was able to actually within 2 days' time, and this is because of reaching out to the community and being able to get to know each individual and landlords, I was able to get three families placed either in a housing or get them put up in a hotel while we were looking for housing. So it was fantastic.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
It was great. And then I also have individuals, we do see a lot of clientele that may have something even on their past criminal record that have issues. Because of being able to get to know our community and reach out, we individually have clients meet with landlords and try to act as a liaison in between them. And I was able to get somebody that has been homeless for over 3 years put in a house within a week. So
That's
it's
great.
exciting.
Well, and part of that liaison piece with the landlords and helping landlords understand why they should maybe take a Section 8 voucher or those kinds of things. I'll put a plug in for, we have the Fuse community meeting coming up in October that Good Samaritan will be a part of. We'll be inviting all of the landlords to a breakfast where we can continue building those relationships and then acknowledge the landlords who are really doing a great job.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, we're gonna, hopefully get some more people interested, but definitely saying a huge thank you to the landlords that are already working really well with our community housing navigators and other groups that are working on housing for our lower income population. So that'll be coming up. If there's a landlord watching, just be aware we'll be inviting you.
Yes, please come, please.
Absolutely, come and learn more about all the things we're doing
Yes.
in this world. So how would somebody apply with you for the housing navigation?
So typically you can reach out to me via phone. You could come walk in, like you said, we are open door. Or you can email me and I will reach out, or our front desk receptionist, Amy, she's fantastic. She can also, she's very good at following up. So if you guys ever need anything, just call, walk in, send an email, we'll make sure we get you in there.
Are you at the thrift store location?
We are.
Okay.
So we are. We're right off Montana Avenue. We're right next to Harbor Freight.
Or if somebody's dropped into Our Place, they could get connected with you as well if they're in that part of town.
Most definitely. Our Place is a sister to us, and we work hand in hand with them. I also work there on Thursdays from 1 to 3, so anybody can walk in and see me there from 1 to 3.
Awesome. Any other information you want to pass along about Housing Navigator?
So housing navigation also, it helps people to afford housing, but it also helps assist with the application fees as well. So if you are a family or individual that needs help getting into a house but feel that you cannot afford to even complete the application fees, because that is ridiculous in itself sometimes. You have somebody more than over the 18, you have children over the age 18, you're looking at $35 to $50 each
Per
individual.
person, yeah.
So it's a lot. So we also help assist in there. So we reach out, we help with childcare, let's see, application fees, depending on situations. We help with food boxes, you name it. So it's a multiple of utilities that you guys can come to see us and we can help with.
Great. And if you guys don't provide it, you know who does, and
Oh,
you can
yes.
refer them there.
Most definitely, and that's our big deal that we live by, is that we are able to definitely get you in the right place if you need it.
Right. Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Misty. It's been great to talk to you. And thanks, Helena. We'll see you again next week.